What, a kid?
Thank you. Excuse my bayonet. That's bad press.
Usually I use sugar-free syrup. Didn't do that. That's part of it.
Ready?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I will.
All right. Well, good afternoon, folks. How's everybody doing today? Oh, fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you all up here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. My name is Peter. I'm joined up here by our wonderful soldier, Evan, and we have the best job on this island because it involves firing off cannons for wonderful visitors such as yourselves. Now, this cannon that we have up here today is a model 1841 cannon. Now, despite advances in cannon technology throughout the fort's 115-year history, cannons just like these would have been up here on the walls throughout the fort's history, even back before 1841 when British soldiers were up here, and even when the fort closed in 1895. And so these cannons can fire a 6-pound cannonball about a mile in distance. And just for your reference, that's just past the shores of Round Island out there.
This is
Now, at that distance, if we brought in the most talented cannon crew Fort Mackinac has ever seen, the smallest target they would be able to consistently hit is about the size of Round Island out there. And the limitation of this cannon at that distance is the cannon itself. It's a smooth bore. And so there's no telling where that ball is actually going to land. Now, it's a different story at a half mile. So right where that ferry is, if I convince that ferry to stand still for us, and I bring up an excellent cannon crew, they would be able to hit that stationary ferry about 1 out of every 3 shots, and that would be considered very accurate. Now, although that seems like it's not very accurate, these cannons would usually be fired in groups. You'd at least have 3 of them. So the idea is every time you fire off 3 cannons, someone's going to hit something. Now, folks, today we're not going to be hitting anything unless something goes drastically wrong, because we are not going to be firing a cannonball. If this is disappointing, you can all say, "Aw." I'm sorry, I don't mean to disappoint you all, but that's just the fact of the matter. So I'll pass this around. You want to take a look at that?
Ooh, you got
Your 2 hands. All right. However, throughout military history, soldiers would come up to firing cannons in celebration, not just in anger. And so, British soldiers may have fired off a cannon salute to welcome a fur trader, perhaps for the king's birthday. Americans later on in the fort's history were firing cannons for the 4th of July or Memorial Day or the president's birthday or anything like that. And today, we'll fire off a cannon for all of you folks. But before we do, we need a full cannon crew. Because right now, we only have 2 soldiers up here, and we need a 3rd. So do we have a volunteer? That tall soldier. Wait a second. All right, come on down. Now, Stoked, what's your name? Gavin, step over here. Now, Gavin, have you ever worked on a cannon crew before? No, would you like to learn? Yes. Perfect. Now, your job is to put a leather patch on your thumb and cover up the hole in the back of the cannon. Can you handle that, Gavin?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, which hand do you write with? Oh, this one? Are you sure? All right, well, give me your other one just in case. Come on up and cover up the hole in the back of the cannon. Now, no matter what, you are not to move. Even if me and Evan were to take steps back from the cannon, you will stay there. Can I trust you?
Yes.
He's more annoyed than anything. Now, all joking aside, Gavin's job is extremely important. He is keeping Evan up there safe while he's cleaning out the barrel. The first tool Evan is using is this gunner's worm or an auger, which he's using to drive through the barrel and try to take out any debris we might find. Today, common debris could be aluminum foil, as that is what we use to wrap our charges in. In the 1880s and in 1812, charges would be wrapped in cloth. However, cloth tends to burn, so we want to take that out as soon as possible. However, some debris may remain, so we use the next tool, which is a wet swab. Evan's going to dump that into a bucket of water and drive it through the barrel. And now the goal is that the water will extinguish any flames. But between the width of the wet swab and Gavin's brave thumb stalling, listen carefully. You hear that strong thunk, which is air rushing back into the cannon, like after you open Tupperware or a pickle jar. And so we suffocated any flames that may be inside, and we are now relatively safe that we can put in gunpowder without blowing our face up. And so, for that, we deserve a big round of applause for Gavin for being so great. Thank you very much. Now make sure to put that on a resume one day. Players like that. Now we will put in our charge. Today we are firing 3 ounces of gunpowder wrapped in aluminum foil. Now we are going to seat that using this curved ramrod, which is historically inaccurate. In the 1880s and in 1812, we would have used a straight rammer, which would have put Evan's chest directly in front of a loaded cannon. The last place you'd want to be in case of an accident. And we have had soldiers die here at Fort Mackinac, firing a celebratory blast. So we don't want to repeat that kind of history today. Now, the major difference between the cannons of the War of 1812 era and the 1840s and 1850s, what? Is the way you light the cannon. Now, in 1812, you would have taken loose gunpowder and poured it down the touch hole. And then you would take this lid stock with that slow burning match cord, and you would have lit it from a far distance. However, you can imagine if it's windy, if it's rainy, that powder is not going to stay there or it'll get wet. And so by the 1840s, a huge technological increase took place, and they invented the friction primer. Now this here is weatherproof, and it's all self-contained. All you have to do is center the touch hole, pull the pin out, which causes friction. Now this tube I'm holding on to is filled with gunpowder. And so then the gunpowder explodes, setting off the charge for us today, making a large bang for us. Now Evan's just about ready. And so it is time, folks, to cover up your ears. It will be quite loud. And with that, folks, there are only 2 commands to fire this cannon. Well, that's 3.
Ready,
and
fire.
Since we didn't put a cannonball in there, we'll make do with the aim command and just have it be ready, fire! Whoa. All right, folks, thank you.